This guy's a sweaty gamer who hasn't showered for months, discovers the most popular girl is into him and won't let him go until she fixes him. The story tells about a gamer boy named Kieta who used to go to the store to check out the newly released games and buy some. And among the games he bought was a simulation game for dating blonde girls since he is ugly and otaku, and knows that he has no chance of dating one in real life. As he was reading what was written on the cover, he was surprised by a blonde girl named Karen who introduced herself to him and was known to be the most beautiful girl in his school in addition to her intelligence and athletic talents that make her perfect, while he is just a loser and scum compared to her, which made his mind stop working just at the thought that she came to talk to him specifically. Then he quickly corrected himself and introduced himself to her, and he felt by his manner that he was too pathetic, so he dropped all the game strips he was carrying and Karen wanted to help him collect them. And Kieta wondered if she liked games as much as he did. As she was collecting the strips, a blonde dating game caught her eye. He wanted the earth to open up and eat him out of embarrassment. He had to tell her that he liked games. This game caught his attention because of its content, and he was curious to read what was on the cover. When he found that she agreed with him that the content of the cover is always interesting, he got excited and started telling her how much he liked the summary of the game in a few lines, and she realized how passionate he was about video games and offered him to join her gaming club, which left him in a daze. On the other side, a young man named Tasuku was having fun at the arcade with his friends when his eccentric girlfriend, Aguri, asked him to help her get a stuffed toy by picking it up from the game, and when he asked her to give him money to play the game, she turned out to be broke, so he pays and tries to pick up the doll from the box and succeeds in getting it cleverly, which makes Aguri happy, while he only cares about how good he is, even though he is just a loser who hangs out in arcades. He has a cute girlfriend, even if her intelligence is limited. On their way home, Tasuku noticed that she was overjoyed with the doll and told him that she was happy to get it from him and would keep it for the rest of her life. Then he saw Kieta standing near the park alone and recognized him well, and remembered that he was the boy who played all the time, anywhere, and thought that a boy like him would never get a girlfriend. In the meantime, Kieta was with Karen, who was busy playing with the homeless cat and telling him the story of how she started the game club. He told her that he was surprised about her love for games, and she told him that her friends didn't know about it, and she deliberately enrolled in their school when she heard that there was a famous game club there, even though it was disbanded before they entered. Kieta wondered what a gaming club was, and she told him that it was a club where everyone played not just to pass the time, but to play hard, and she made sure to pick the members so that they were all real players. So she decided to offer him to join the club and come check it out when he had the chance. And before she left, she asked him to wait for her in his classroom after school tomorrow. After that, Kieta went home and continued to play, thinking that he had just had the biggest event of his life when the prettiest girl in his school offered him to join her gaming club. Then he received a notification from a game on his phone and decided to log in and spend some time playing it. The next day, Kieta sat in his classroom after school, nervous, and decided to play a little to relieve his stress. But suddenly Karen appeared behind him, and while she was checking his phone, Kieta noticed that his classmates were looking at them strangely. He wanted to leave the classroom as soon as possible and asked her to guide him to the game club. After they left the classroom, Karen introduced him to a boy named Aichi who had recently joined the club, which made Kieta feel frustrated because he thought he was the only special one that Karen had invited. Then Karen told him that Aichi likes to play brick puzzle in the arcade, but he was embarrassed to mention it. So Karen was surprised by his reaction even though he is good at that game. Then Kieta was surprised when Aichi asked him to become friends since he doesn't have many of them. He shook his hand immediately and then accompanied them to where the game club is located, and when they arrived, Kieta felt joyful as if he was in the place where he really belonged, as there are many devices and games everywhere inside. Then they were surprised to find someone busy playing inside while the lights were off. Karen tells them that it's their older classmate named Gekudo, who is a first-person shooter professional who strives to be the best, and then tells them that the girl playing a fighting game on the PlayStation is named Nina, who didn't even realize they were there. Kieta was amazed to see Gekudo playing the famous shooter game and was surprised when Aichi told him that he had never seen a game like this before since he doesn't know anything except for puzzles. Then Karen told them that they bought everything here using the prize money from the competitions, and Kieta noticed that they had won many trophies and realized that they were playing hard. Then she suggested they join Gekudo and play, and after 5 rounds of the shooter, Kieta and Aichi ended up losing to him, and Kieta thought the game time was over, but he was forced to play for 2 hours straight, which was beyond his natural ability, until he completely collapsed. Karen scolded Gekudo and told him to go easy on them so he wouldn't scare them off, but he didn't believe in the idea of going easy on shooters, and then he noticed that Aichi was trying the game for the first time and still managed to knock him out 3 times in 1 round. Aichi thought it was just beginner's luck and told him that all he was doing was copying his moves. Everyone admired his skill, and Gekudo told him that he had the potential to become one of the best shooters. He then turned his attention to the idiotic Kieta and asked him about his deliberate and ridiculous jumping on top of the car. He simply replied that he thought he could see a beautiful view behind the fence, and when Gekudo scolded him, Karen suggested they take a break to cool off. Kieta expressed his admiration for Gekudo and Nina's passion for playing for hours on end throughout the day, and she told him that they like to play more than eating 3 meals a day. Kieta wondered if he should have a reason for becoming a gamer. She told him that Gekudo had been practicing a lot under his mercenary father, while Nina was trying to improve herself to win back her lover. Kieta felt strange that this was the dark side of the club, and when it was his turn to tell her the reason, he could only say that he liked to play for fun, which made them silent for a while before Karen told him that it was a good reason. When she asks Aichi, he tells her that he doesn't have a good reason to play, which makes Kieta feel relieved that he's not alone, before Aichi shocks them with the fact that he has amnesia, and the only thing he realizes he's good at is jigsaw puzzles. Karen then tells them that they don't have to be good at it, as the club's mission is to make everyone better, so they do their best inside. When she asks Kieta if he's made up his mind about joining the club, Yakudo tells him that he'll train him in shooter games, and Nina gives him the device she's been playing with, and he feels like he belongs among them and has made his first friends since high school. And although it sounds good, he decides not to join the club because they don't play the kind of games he prefers. The next day, Kieta sat berating himself for turning down a once-in-a-lifetime offer and calling himself an idiot. As he was about to answer his phone notification, he was surprised to see Karen standing in front of him, repeating her offer to join the club and telling him explicitly that she was interested in him, leaving the rest of his classmates dumbfounded. When she reached out to shake his hand, he was about to accept her offer, but he chose to answer his damn game notification instead and refused to join again. She thought he was worried that he wasn't good enough for them and told him that his older teammates would take care of him. He told her that the real reason was that he wanted to play for fun because he didn't like competitive play and wanted to keep playing the way he liked to play. Karen felt sad that he refused to date her and started crying and calling him bad at games, and ran out of the classroom and ended up tripping over a banana peel, which made it even more embarrassing, and the others couldn't believe that she was rejected by someone like him. Tasuku couldn't believe what he had just seen and felt like he was in a dream that the prettiest girl in school was having a relationship with a clumsy boy like him. While the rest of his classmates wondered about it, one of them suggested that they go talk to him about it, but he told them that it was impossible to have a conversation with him. Their classmate Mika felt that he seemed a bit cocky, and the others agreed, while Tasuku called him petty. Throughout the school day, Tasuku remained preoccupied with Kieta, staring at him from time to time. At recess, Aguri brought them their lunches and tried to make the food look like a cat, but it ended up looking like a rotting zombie's face. Then asked Tasuku about Kieta, his classmate, and told him that everyone in her class was talking about him after Karen refused. Tasuku remembered when Aguri first gave him a love letter and that he had no reason to refuse, while Aguri expressed her happiness at being together all the time. After class, they all went to the arcade and Tasuku decided to have some alone time and left under the pretext of going to the restroom. Then he noticed a pickup game with a bunch of old toys inside and was curious to try to get one. As he was playing, he seemed to see a reflection in the glass of his old self and began to recall some scenes from his memories. But he eventually managed to get the game and noticed Kieta watching him closely. Kieta felt awkward and introduced himself to Tasuku as they had never talked before, then hesitated before asking him if he liked games. Tasuku told him that he had never thought about it before, and when he picked up his winning game, Kieta told him that it was a masterpiece and continued to talk about it enthusiastically until he realized that he had won and decided to leave. Tasuku then went to the video games section where he saw Kieta looking lost, and all he did was watch other people play and realized that he had never been to an arcade before, even though he was obsessed with games. As time passed, Kieta became frustrated that all the games required more than one player to play while he was used to playing alone. As he was about to leave, Tasuku caught him and offered to play together, and Kieta didn't hesitate to accept his offer. Kieta tells him that he loves this game and has always wanted to play it, but he felt like he was wasting his time watching the demo and decided to go home. Tasuku felt like a weird kid and couldn't believe that this was the one who refused Karen in the morning. Then he decided to ask him directly if he was in a relationship with her, and Kieta told him everything that happened between them and the game club. Aguri, on the other hand, was worried about Tasuku's late return, and while she was trying to call him, she noticed Karen wandering near her in the lounge. Tasuku was surprised when Kieta mentioned that the games at the club were different from his favorite games and realized that he just wanted to make friends with whom he could talk about games. When the game machine they were standing in front of turned on, Kieta was excited to try it with him without watching the game's instructional videos. Kieta ended up getting crushed by Tasuku, though he seemed to be having fun and admired Tasuku's seemingly superhuman skills compared to his ridiculous playstyle, while Tasuku felt it was easier than playing against an elementary school student. After that, Kieta decided to go play a shooting simulator and spent the whole day with Tasuku trying out different games until Tasuku forgot about his buddies. As he was walking around, he noticed Karen nearby who was watching Kieta closely, and when she realized he was staring at her, she immediately disappeared. He soon realized that he had forgotten about his friends when he saw them heading towards him, and Kieta ended up retreating before they arrived. Aguri scolded him for not answering her calls, and he told her that he didn't hear his phone. He then wandered off for a bit before deciding to follow Kieta, leaving his bag with her and having no idea what he was doing. He searched for Kieta around outside the lounge and kept looking for him until he found him walking over a bridge and immediately followed him, asking him why he ran away. Kieta told him that he didn't run away, but he realized that he had no reason to want him with him since he had a life after all with his girlfriend and friends around him. So Tasuku approached him in anger and tightened his grip on his collar and told him not to dare to judge people that way. He says he's doing his best to be content with his life and not look like the nerdy high school student he used to be, and warns him not to act arrogant again as he prefers to spend his time playing by himself. He then mocked him for playing for fun, judging him to be deliberately different from everyone else to look cool, and calling him an idiot for being serious about video games. Kieta asked him to take it back before he pounced on him and pushed him into the railing of the bridge. Tasuku began to see his life flash before his eyes as he looked down at the cars speeding by and that he would die if he fell off the bridge, while Kieta told him that he knew from the beginning that he was just a loser with no interest in anything but games, and that he didn't deny a word that Tasuku Tasuku said about him, but that doesn't give him the right to insult him just because he's obsessed with something. Tasuku tried to calm him down before he caused him to die, and Kieta caught himself and immediately retracted it and apologized for what he had just done, while Tasuku felt that he was stupid to compare him to himself and feel so angry, then decided to apologize to him in return and told him that he was surprised that the person who refused to join the gaming club would defend the club with such passion, then decided to return to the arcade again while Kieta told him that he would go home to try a game. Before he left, Kieta apologized for being condescending about having a life, but Tasuku decided to let it go and not relate it to his past life. On his way to the arcade, he noticed that Karen was eavesdropping on their conversation and felt what a great person Kieta is. When he tried to talk to her, she was so confused that she couldn't answer him properly. He realized that she was confused and decided to continue on his way, but she caught him and asked him what he meant. He replied that he thought she and Kieta were cute together and left, leaving her lost in her thoughts after falling in love with Kieta. Tasuku returned to the lounge and found Aguri waiting for him with a disgruntled face, carrying his bag like a hobo. To appease her, he had to get her a stuffed toy, even though he had already spent a lot of money on toys. Aguri thought he had won the prizes for someone else, but he told her that he was playing video games with a friend, which made her feel bad for playing with someone else, while Tasuku was asking himself why he was dating her since they hadn't done anything for the past 6 months except go out after school. Tasuku suddenly asked her what made her confess her love for him, and she told him that she felt he was a great person when he helped her win a stuffed toy in middle school, and Tasuku couldn't remember the event, and she told him that he seemed to be having a good time when he went to the gym at that time. Tasuku was shocked that Aguri had fallen in love with him while he was going through his worst days. He remembered coming to the gym to forget what he was going through, and once Aguri happened to be there and helped her win a stuffed animal. Aguri told him that she saw her chance when she learned that he was going to attend the same high school as her, but when he became good looking, she decided to make an effort to date someone like him, which prompted her to change her hair color. Tasuku felt so embarrassed that he ran out of the hall to go home alone, as this was the first time he had feelings for her. The next day, Tasuku went to his class, and when he found Kieta playing on his phone as usual, he went to him and told him that he was right about the game he got yesterday and found it really fun and asked him to show him more good games in the future. His friends are surprised by his sudden behavior and ask him if he's ever had a close relationship with Kieta. They notice that he seems to be in a good mood and are curious as to why, so he tells them that he's been having fun with games lately. A few days later, Kieta is in the locker room and Tasuku approaches him, feeling irritated, and then grabs his face and tells him that the free game he recommended to him was very boring. When Kieta asks him what it was like, he tells him that it was a terrifying exploration game at first and he was excited about it, but in the end he felt like he was playing a hunting game. Kieta decided to keep playing since he was the one who recommended him to try it. In the end, he was furious when he found out that the end of the game was a man who managed to catch a big bass. Kieta stuck to his opinion that it was a fun game, which infuriated Tasuku, who told him that his taste in games was complicated. Kieta felt that he was right about developer Nobai's games being bad sometimes, but they have a special charm, as if it's like falling in love, and Tasuku was surprised that he described it that way even though he doesn't have a girlfriend. Kieta felt embarrassed, and when Tasuku asked him if he was still in touch with Karen, he told him that he felt sad because they don't see each other much anymore, and sometimes he just watches her from afar, so Tasuku felt bad for them and told him to make sure they don't lose contact completely. While they were talking, Kieta received a notification about his game and hesitantly asked him to let him spend some time playing the game, so Tasuku sat watching him enjoy his time in his favorite game and wondered that he had a nickname in the game, and he told him that he prefers to use a name that does not resemble his name when using the internet, and that it is derived from his mother's last name. Then Tasuku wondered about the person who plays as Mono, and Kieta told him that they have been friends since he started playing this game, that he feels a strange closeness to her. Tasuku felt that he is in a pitiful state in terms of relationships and told him that he will not make any progress at this rate with Karen. Kieta was surprised that he cared so much, and Tasuku suggested that Tasuku tell him about girls who like the same type of game. After class, Tasuku takes him to a classroom where a suspicious dark-haired girl named Chiaki is a lonely otaku who is as obsessed with games as he is, and tells him to try approaching her to strengthen his communication skills. While Tasuku tries to encourage him to go and talk to her, Aguri crosses their path and is furious that Tasuku is ignoring her despite their agreement to spend the rest of the day with her. Tasuku had to accompany her to leave the school after forgetting their appointment and told Kieta that he would wait for his call, and Kieta ended up alone, forced to talk to a stranger and approach her, then found the students in the classroom staring at him curiously. Meanwhile, Karen was sitting in her classroom, distracted by her overthinking of Kieta, when she heard Aichi talking to him outside the classroom. When she asked him if he had come to see her, he bluntly replied that he wasn't that interested in her, which left her in a state of shock. He then added that he had come to meet another girl. He then gathered his courage and walked over to Chiaki, and when he tried to talk to her, she didn't pay attention to him because she was so focused. Karen turned to him to ask why he came to her class, and he told her frankly that he was here to see a certain girl. At first she thought he wanted to see her for an administrative matter, but then he remembered Tasuku's advice to deal only with important details and told her that he had worked up the courage to meet Chiaki and become friends, and she almost fainted from the shock. Kieta caught her before she fell to the ground, much to the surprise of the students around them, and noticed that she was mumbling something. He tried to get closer to her to hear her, but she quickly ran out of the classroom, calling him a pervert, and Aichi followed her. Kieta shrugged and turned his attention attention to Chiaki, who felt uncomfortable when he noticed his presence and happened to look at her device and found that she was playing the game that came out last week. Afterward, they sat at a great distance from each other and continued to talk to each other. As time passed, Kieta felt that the conversation was dead and he couldn't open up topics, and then he found her asking him if he was a member of the gaming club, and she told him that she wasn't interested in joining. He told her that he had already been invited to join, but he declined and realized that they had also invited her earlier after she told him she wasn't interested. Then Chiaki was surprised when she realized that he knew the reason she didn't join was that she found the club's activity to be beyond her expectations. She tells him that the members are all very impressive, and although she likes to play competitive games sometimes, she doesn't aspire to be the best in the game or anything like that, which makes her feel bad about Karen. The two felt that they had something in common, as they shared the same opinion about the games that were the most important thing in their lives, and they ended up getting along with each other, and Kieta realized that they were more alike than Tasuku had thought. As the days went by, Kieta and Chiaki used to talk to each other all the time, mostly about games, which made them feel comfortable and cheerful, and Karen watched them closely until one day they noticed the difference between them and ended up fighting over their philosophy of what attracted them to games. Afterward, Kieta told Tasuku what had happened, and Tasuku, puzzled by their disagreement, told Kieta that he felt they got along well, and that she was at least more humble as a friend than he was. Tasuku wondered what the main reason for their fight was, and Kieta replied with his usual enthusiasm that Chiaki thinks games don't need mo characters, and when Tasuku saw that he was still angry about it, he suggested that they talk about it later. The next day, Tasuku ended up with a chronic headache because the two of them argued about it, and Chiaki still insisted on her opinion that what matters most in games is the story and events, and called him a limited intellect, so he called her a mossy-haired woman, which made her furious. Kieta told her that the reason she doesn't like mo girls is because she likes handsome boys, and Tasuku told them that bullying each other's looks is unacceptable. He then decided to ask them what level they are at in the game they are currently playing, and was surprised to see them get along again after realizing that they are at the same stage together. But they soon started arguing again after each of them mentioned the negative aspects of the game from their point of view. When Tasuku tries to calm them down again, they tell him that they won't compromise when it comes to gaming, as it's the only thing they're good at in life. As they continue to fight, Kieta notices that Aguri is watching them from behind the door, so Tasuku decides to leave and tells them that in the end they will all still be gaming friends. As he was talking to Chiaki, Kieta felt that Aguri had taken it the wrong way, as Tasuku seemed to be trying to get close to her, and Aguri ended up breaking down after hearing his compliments to Chiaki. Karen and Aichi were watching through the glass, and Karen wondered about the relationship between Chiaki and Kieta and was infuriated by their chemistry. In the evening, Tasuku and Aguri were on their way home, and he noticed that she seemed unusually calm. He hesitated before answering that he was trying to reconcile between Kieta and Chiaki. Then he found her asking him about spending most of his time with Kieta lately. He told her that they only like to talk about games, and Aguri continued on her way, frustrated. Kieta then wrote to the developer of a game to tell them his opinion about the pros and cons of the game, and found that the company took the time to reply to his letter and thank him for his feedback. The next day he hesitated before asking Tasuku if Aguri had talked to him about something on their way home yesterday. Tasuku hesitantly replied that nothing unusual happened between them, then wondered why Kieta was worried about Aguri even though they didn't know each other. Then they were surprised to see Chiaki with a new hairstyle after she cut it as recommended by Tasuku yesterday. Tasuku couldn't recognize her at first glance and was surprised that she had taken his advice in stride. He admired her new hairstyle and told her that she had the makings of a cute girl. Aguri, meanwhile, was watching what was going on in the crowd, but she quickly left after hearing him praise another girl. Kieta followed her without Tasuku noticing, and when he realized he was gone, he was surprised that he had gone after his girlfriend. On the other hand, Kieta kept looking around for Aguri and came across Karen on his way, and found her apologizing to him for something he didn't know. So he decided to let it go and asked her if she saw Aguri on her way, and she told him that she saw her heading towards the front entrance. Before he left, she was curious as to why he followed her. He told her it was about relationship issues and left quickly, leaving her lost in her negative thoughts. He managed to find Aguri near her locker and was confused before he offered to have tea with her. He tries to convince her that there was a misunderstanding regarding Tasuku and Chiaki, but she can't get over the fact that he called her a cute girl. So he tells her that he said the same thing about her recently and convinces her that Tasuku is in love with her. Aguri's spirits rose and she felt like buying a juice. After she left, he felt relieved that he was able to clear up the misunderstanding. Then he spent his time checking the game on his phone, and suddenly he heard the sound of cups crashing on the floor and found that Aguri had dropped them after seeing Tasuku hanging out with Chiaki outside the cafe and looking very close to her. And Kieta was shocked when he saw the same scene. Going back a little further into Karen's life, we find that she is a very organized girl, as she makes sure to play sports and go jogging as soon as she wakes up early in the morning, and then devotes part of her time to studying before eating breakfast to get ready to go to school. When she arrives at school, she meets her friends on the way to class and tries her best to stick to her homework, spend time with her classmates, and volunteer to help her teachers with difficult assignments. But the most depressing part of her day is receiving endless requests from boys who want to date her because she has to say no, which makes her feel bad because she knows the person who wants to date her is a good person. After school, Karen goes to her secret gaming club to enjoy her time honing her skills by playing with her fellow members, and feels happy with the atmosphere that comes when everyone is trying their best. Afterward, she goes goes home to study and then spends the rest of the time playing games before going to bed. But ever since she met Kieta, she wakes up feeling embarrassed because she sees him in her dreams, causing her to have trouble sleeping. When she goes to school, she can't take her eyes off Kieta as soon as he appears in front of her, and she deliberately goes to his class under any pretext. Karen became absent-minded most of the time. Even when she went to the game club, Nina noticed it, and when she asked why, she told her that she was distracted by everything that had happened between her and Kieta recently, and her teammates told her that she should try harder when it comes to playing games since she is the president of the club. Karen felt that they were right and that she had to be focused and confident. However, every night before she went to bed, she wished that Kieta would come to the gym tomorrow, and as soon as she started thinking about him, she would go into insomnia. One day, Karen was at the gym competing with Aichi in a puzzle game, and when he asked her about the rumors about Kieta's relationship with Chiaki, she completely lost her concentration and ended up winning the game by accident. Frustrated by her low score, Karen thought about it all the way home, and when she looked at her reflection in the glass, she realized that she had been influenced by what Kieta had said when he expressed his desire to play for fun. As she was feeling angry and talking to herself like a crazy person on the street, she ran into Kieta on her way and quickly pretended to be fine and put a fake smile on her face, then found him getting nervous before he told her that he had to leave the house because his mom yelled at him while he was playing. She offered to walk with her for a while, and after he spontaneously accepted her offer, he remembered that they were on a weekend vacation and tried to make excuses, and she felt that she would be rejected again and decided that this would not happen. She approached him and asked him directly if he hated her. He told her that he just didn't want to bother her so that people wouldn't create more rumors about her. When she blushed and remained silent, Kieta was about to leave, so Karen grabbed him and told him that she just offered to walk around together for a while, and that it didn't seem like a date. After telling him to be brave, she continued on her way without waiting for his response. They went to the toy store, and although Kieta was puzzled by their presence, he was quickly distracted when he started checking out the strips around him. Then she noticed that he chose to check the blonde dating game again and realized that he likes this type of game. He felt embarrassed and told her that he couldn't help himself when he saw the discount offer and decided not to buy the game. But when he saw her sad expression, he ended up buying it. After that, they decided to go to the arcade, and he wondered why she liked going there. She told him that she deliberately went when the club wasn't meeting, and when she asked him why he went there, he told her that he liked going there after he had a chance to hang out with someone recently. Karen thought he was talking about Chiaki, and before she could check, they arrived at the gym and headed inside together. She decided to try to raise her level again by playing with him, but she noticed that he was interested in seeing the bounty hunting games and told her that he thought she had a competitive spirit towards this type of game. Karen felt that he was still talking about Chiaki and began to fantasize about their moments together during their date, when her thoughts were interrupted by his suggestion that they try a coin game since today was the day of the triple prize off. Kieta started playing with 500 yen at once and ended up making a lot of money, much to Karen's surprise and exasperation, because she had wanted to play a competitive game with him, but suddenly she decided to compete with him in currency games, which are mainly based on luck, and vowed to beat him. They agreed to meet each other after 30 minutes where they would each go to play on different machines. Karen was looking for a game where she could score the most points in the least amount of time when she noticed that he was sitting in the seat with the lowest score and realized that he was just a beginner. After 30 minutes, Karen succeeded in beating him after collecting the most money, while he lost everything he had at the beginning, although she did not feel satisfied with her victory over him, and when she dropped a silver coin, Kieta went to pick it up, and that's when a horse racing betting game caught his eye. He asked her to let him have the coin and bet on a certain horse in the hope that it would improve his situation and he could beat her. Karen was shocked that he thought so much about winning, as he is the type of person who plays just for fun. At the end of the day, she told him that she noticed his sad face when he lost the challenge in front of her, although he refused to join her club because he prefers to play to win. He told her that having fun while playing doesn't negate his interest in winning, as the two are two sides of the same coin. When he went to buy a drink from the vending machine next to them, he was surprised that he won an extra drink and felt lucky enough to give her the extra drink. Then he told her that you're always having good times and bad times. That's why he thinks games are fun. She asked him why he didn't want to join her club, and he said he didn't have what it takes to win. She was curious if the club members were silly for caring so much about winning and losing, and was surprised when he told her that the most fun thing about playing is the excitement of winning and the annoyance of losing, so he didn't think they were silly. Then he added that he is a coward and always ends up switching to another game when he realizes that he fails at a game. Karen felt that her admiration for him grew because of his honesty and philosophy towards games, and she decided to go home, and when it seemed surprising to him, she told him that she was excited to go home and play her favorite game. Tasuku tries to call Aguri on his way home but gets no response, then finds Chiaki telling him that she wants to talk to him about game development. He asks if she's already working on one, and she feels embarrassed before telling him that she intends to make her own game. When he asks her if she doesn't know anyone who has enough knowledge about games, Chiaki feels irritated after thinking of Kieta as the first person. Tasuku notices her facial expressions and asks her if she hates him that much, and she replies that she doesn't care about Kieta at all. Then she gets a notification about her favorite game on her phone and starts playing as they walk down the road, and Tasuku finds that she and Kieta are very much alike. Then he noticed that she was playing as Mono and was shocked when he remembered that she was the same person that Kieta told him that they had become friends since he started playing. Then he was surprised when he found Kieta's nickname and realized that they were playing together at the moment and kept staring at her phone closely, and at that moment but Kieta and Aguri, who were inside the cafe next to them, saw them. Tasuku, on the other hand, backed off when he realized that he had gotten too close to her and asked her if she knew the pseudonym, and she told him that they had been friends since she started playing this game and that she felt a strange connection between them even though she didn't know him. He grabbed her and let out a loud cry to tell her that fate is bringing her and Kieta together in many ways. Then he was anxious to know what she thought of him and was furious when she told him that she hated him more than the celebrities who appear in her favorite series just because the agency demanded it. Tasuku then told her that he wanted to make sure she didn't love Kieta and pretend she didn't. She told him that if she were trapped on an island, she'd rather die than fall in love with him, and Tasuku felt frustrated. Then he asked her curiously about her nickname in the game, and she told him that it was derived from her mother's last name and that she uses a Nubian name when she makes games. And Tasuku couldn't help himself, as fate brings the two of them together, who are similar even in the way they choose things. After making a mess with his constant yelling, he apologized to the customers and sat down with his hand over his face, then changed the subject and talked to her about game development, and she told him that she was thinking about the type of her new game, while he couldn't stop thinking and asking himself how she and Kieta weren't dating despite their similarities, and at the same time he didn't want to give up Karen inside him. The next day, he told Kieta and Chiaki that he was going to organize a players forum for the three of them to get together with other players who play for fun. Kieta and Chiaki thought it was a great idea and felt triumphant to find a good solution to bring them together, but soon found that they objected to each other's presence and kept giving each other hostile looks. He told them that this was one of the reasons why he decided to create a players forum, as he wanted them to cooperate in the club's activities and they would be able to have a debate about games and discuss them objectively, and he succeeded in convincing them to join the forum. They asked if they were the only members, and he told them that he was waiting for the approval of a third party. Karen joined them, and Kieta was surprised that she would be the third member, while Chiaki was also surprised to see her. When she expressed her confusion at their participation in the Gamers Club together, they apologized for refusing to join her club, but she was curious to know if they had chosen to join the Gamers Club instead of the Game Club for the sake of each other. Tasuku realized that she had doubts about the two's relationship and was soon shocked when the two nodded in agreement. Karen then told them that she didn't think she would be useful for the meetup, while Tasuku was furious that his plan to bring the three of them together had failed. He tries to take control of the situation and convinces Karen to make up her mind about joining after she thinks about it. She tells him that she's fine with it, which makes him feel relieved. When she asks what they're going to do now, he tells her that they're going to discuss the game Chiaki is working on. Kieta called her game making ridiculous even though he's a big fan of her games without realizing it, and when they asked her what was holding her back, she told them that the problem was that her games weren't as popular as they should be because they weren't fun. Tasuku wanted to know what Kieta thought about it and was surprised by his cold response that he didn't care, which made her angry. He told her that what was important was that the end result of her work was good and that he didn't really expect anything from game developers. He then told her to make her game the way she wanted because it would still be her game whether it was popular or not. He added that she could do whatever she wanted and end up making a masterpiece. He then mentioned that he preferred playing games made by a certain person who was famous for making free games, and that what he liked most about his games was how much humanity seeped through the small details in them. They realized that he was trying to urge her to do whatever she wanted with her game and that it wouldn't affect its quality, but he was careful to make it clear that he didn't care about the crap Chiaki was designing. And when they started arguing again, Karen was surprised at how close they were. Tasuku tells her that she's the reason they met, as Kieta was trying to improve his communication skills so he could talk to her. As they talk, Kieta and Chiaki notice how close they are. Then they were surprised to see Aguri eavesdropping on them behind the classroom door and asked Kieta to accompany her immediately, which made him apologize and leave quickly, leaving them in a state of astonishment. Tasuku and Karen were surprised when Chiaki said that he had a wonderful girlfriend. She then adds that he was stalking her earlier and admits that they seem to be good for each other and decides to leave before her bus arrives. Tasuku and Karen end up alone in the classroom in a state of shock and decide to abandon the idea of having a players meeting. Aguri, meanwhile, was in tears because she was jealous of Tasuku and grabbed Kieta by the ear and reminded him that he had already told her that there was no relationship between him and Chiaki. But Kieta was still adamant, while Aguri was furious that the situation was getting worse for her. She then accused him of being wrong about everything and not keeping his promise to wake Tasuku up and get him to come back to her. She then blamed him for their preparation for the players meeting and didn't calm down until the waitress walked up to them and asked them to keep their voices down. Afterward, Kieta sat thinking that he hadn't expected Tasuku to be the playful type after seeing him approaching Karen earlier, and Aguri told him that she knew he wasn't interested in her, so he asked her if she still liked him despite everything that had happened. He suggested that they each find someone else with whom they shared many of the same qualities and interests. She called him a fool and told him that love rules, not the other way around, and there was nothing she could do about it. Kieta took her hand and vowed to do everything he could to get them back together again, which made her trust him. Suddenly, they found Chiaki staring at them from the window, and Kieta rushed out to correct the situation and tried to explain it to her, but to no avail. When he returned, Aguri asked him what he had said to her, and he told her that he had told her that she was the most considerate girlfriend in the world and made sure that she was aware of her good qualities, while at the same time expressing his annoyance at her indifferent response before she continued on her way. Aguri felt grateful to him for doing what he could for her and decided to help him so that he could talk to Karen in return, and they decided to become a team to help each other. In the evening, Tasuku sat in the arcade, spending his time time playing while he was so distracted and thinking about the relationship between his girlfriend and Kieta that he didn't realize he was playing without inserting a coin into the machine. Kieta, on the other hand, woke up after a nap and saw in his dream that he was being rejected by Karen and found that he always ended up losing to girls who looked like her in the dating simulation game. The next day after class, Kieta sat with Tasuku in the classroom alone and tried to consult with him for advice to help him get closer to the game character. Tasuku told him without hesitation that dating simulation games do not simulate real life in any way, which made Kieta feel frustrated that his efforts were in vain. Tasuku advised him to start worrying about his issues with real girls and that it was time for him to approach Karen. Kieta found it almost impossible, so Tasuku told him that he was already doing well talking to her, and that he was already in contact with Chiaki and Aguri. Kieta then remembered his challenge to Karen in the betting games, and Tasuku told him that this makes them friends now, while Kieta thought that Karen is being nice to him because she is interested in Tasuku, and when he insisted that he does not deserve to be near her, Tasuku told him that the situation is different from before, and the proof is that she asked him to hang out with her for a while. Kieta was surprised to feel that Tasuku was more concerned about his relationships than he was. Tasuku told him it was because they were friends, and he felt grateful and expressed his happiness for their friendship. As he approached, they found Chiaki staring at them in shock before quickly leaving. They wonder for a while before Tasuku realizes what he has come up with when he sees them in this suspicious situation and decides to follow her as fast as he can to explain it while Kieta stands in the classroom alone like an idiot with no idea what just happened. Tasuku sat in a cafe with Chiaki, who apologized to him for misinterpreting what her eyes saw. While he was puzzled that he ended up meeting her again, when she noticed his absent-mindedness, he told her that he was thinking about how cruel the world is. He then surprised her by talking about Kieta's relationship with Aguri and how it was one of the strangest things in the world, and expressed her dismay when she recalled the moment when Kieta had bragged about his relationship with her in front of her. Tasuku asks her if she's sure she's not imagining, and she says she's never seen a man so shamelessly bragging about his girlfriend. He's curious to know what she thinks of Kieta and is relieved that she still thinks he's a scumbag after having doubts about him. When he asked her about Karen, she told him that she didn't talk to her much in class and thought she was garbage compared to her. While they were talking, Kieta and Aguri snuck in to sit near them to eavesdrop on their conversation without being detected. Tasuku tells her that he thinks she looks flawless at first until she gets close enough and Chiaki realizes that he is in love with her, while Tasuku notices her miserable facial expression and tries to cheer her up with some compliments, but she ends up feeling embarrassed after she pats her head and runs out of the cafe, and he tries to catch up with her. Kieta, on the other hand, was in shock after realizing that Tasuku was cheating on Aguri, who lost her mind next to him despite telling him that she still loved Tasuku, and they sat down to think of a solution to this dilemma. Aguri decides to change the subject and asks Kieta to talk to her about his relationship with Karen and if he's trying to get close enough to her like she did with Tasuku. He makes fun of her for ending up being betrayed by him, and she gets angry and almost rips his cheek out of his face. She then told him that what she meant was that he had to make an effort to get what he wanted. He told her that it seemed easier in simulation games where he could date girls as soon as his stats went up, and Aguri told him that life is not a game. She asked him if he was sure about leveling human relationships and told him that in this world 1 + 1 does not equal 2, but love, which made him start to feel sorry for her. He then told her that he had to reach the friendship stage first in his relationship with Karen in order for her to see him as a human being. Aguri gets excited and tells him that he has to talk to her directly or he won't make any progress, so he asks her how she managed to confess her love to Tasuku, and she happily tells him that she asked him to date her directly. Kieta felt that it seemed too simple for her, but she told him that sincere feelings always come out naturally, so she thought he would have no trouble if he really wanted to become Karen's friend. Kieta felt motivated by her words and asked himself if someone like him could really do it. He decided to make his first attempt tomorrow and that he had nothing to lose in the end, while Aguri decided not to give up on Tasuku and to give it her best shot. Meanwhile, Karen rejects all the suitors who want to date her, coming up with various reasons to make her rejection seem logical and not insulting. She then goes to the gym and talks to Aichi to express how upset she is about everyone's rejection and how she doesn't want to give them false hope. She was surprised when he told her that it seemed as if she was determined to say no every time, or that the very principle of saying no had become a habit, and suggested that she should be more open-minded and let her instincts guide her. He then pointed out to her that she seemed to be wearing armor that made people believe that she was the perfect girl, and that they had no chance against her, and that this was one of the reasons that complicated the relationship between her and Kieta, and she felt that he was right, and that she should be more open and stop rejecting everything at first sight. In the evening, Kieta sat down to play a dating simulator in his room and was upset when he ended up failing to date the blonde girl in the game despite his best efforts, and felt like it was a sign that he wasn't compatible with someone like Karen. He then checked his phone to find new messages from both Tasuku and Aguri and found that Aguri was giving him some advice on how to look better tomorrow, while Tasuku told him that he would bring more people to meet Karen and to be respected as he tried to get close to her. Kieta felt that everyone was doing their best for him, and before he went to sleep he received a notification from his favorite game and found Mono inviting him to play. He felt grateful to her and his friends and had the confidence to try again in the simulation game. As he continued to play, he thought about whether he should be nice to all the characters, and when he used this trick, he was surprised that it worked and the girl confessed her love for him and finally finished the game, realizing that he shouldn't treat people badly while being treated well. The next day, Tasuku's friends try to find out why Karen came to their class and if she intends to meet Kieta. He plays dumb and tells them that he's not close enough to them to know, even though he's the one who spread the rumor. Kieta feels bad about it and tells him that he's trying to make him have some respect in front of everyone. Kieta says he doesn't want to get close to Karen for that reason, and when Tasuku realizes he's angry, he apologizes for acting without consulting him. Kieta expresses his gratitude for going to all the trouble for him, and Tasuku tells him that he's doing this for his future so that if they become friends, there won't be any unfounded rumors about them, so he'd better offer her his friendship in front of a large crowd of people. Kieta was surprised to realize that he would have to do this before the end of the school day, and their classmates left, and thought it was a brilliant idea, making Tasuku feel triumphant. Aguri, on the other hand, failed to concentrate during class because she was thinking too much about the complicated relationships between her boyfriend and the girls around him. Then she realizes that the main issue lies with Chiaki, who seems close to Kieta even though he hates her while she seems to be interested in Tasuku, and she can't write that he feels the same way on the paper and ends up tearing it up in front of her classmates' wondering eyes. Chiaki finds that Chiaki is a lot like her in the past when she was shy, and decides to find out Tasuku's feelings when the time comes for Kieta to ask Karen for friendship. Meanwhile, Chiaki thinks about the event and asks herself how he wants to get close to Karen when he's in a relationship with Aguri. Then she remembered hearing some rumors about Aguri and Tasuku's relationship and was shocked at the idea that Kieta and Aguri's relationship was a one-sided love affair, and that she might be deliberately manipulating him for money. On the other hand, Tasuku looked like a villain when he succeeded in luring Kieta into his plan to make sure his girlfriend wasn't cheating on him by watching her reaction while he wooed Karen, laughing like crazy, which drew the attention of his colleagues, while Aguri was thinking the same way by watching his reaction and finding out if he had feelings for Karen. Meanwhile, Karen was thinking about why Kieta wanted to meet her after class and guessed that he might want to end their friendship. Negative thoughts began to creep into her head and she decided to behave appropriately. After the end of the school day, everyone got ready for the meeting, and Karen began to organize her thoughts on the way until she reached Kieta's class, who was confused when she arrived, and when he found all his classmates around him, he thought they had come to support him. Then he found Karen standing in front of him, and he had the courage to talk to her, but he was very nervous, so Karen wanted to help him gain confidence and told him that she was ready, but Kieta thought she was ready to reject him, which added to his confusion. Then he noticed that Tasuku seemed to be avoiding looking at him like everyone else, and he felt frustrated that they didn't want to see him get beaten down, so he thought that even if Karen rejected him, he would still have his friends to help him. He decides to finally tell her what's going on inside while the others stalk each other to uncover the truth about their complicated relationships, which are similar with Kieta involved, while Karen decides to be open, listen to him to the end, and not resent herself even if she gets rejected. He ends up asking her to date him, and Karen spontaneously replies that she doesn't mind, and everyone around them is shocked and unable to react. The next day, Kieta is surprised to find that he has lost contact with Mono in-game and doesn't care about the side conversations going on around him, and that his classmates think that someone like him shouldn't date Karen. When he arrived at school, Tasuku told him that he had gotten a lot of attention since he asked Karen out in front of everyone. He blamed him for coming up with the idea in the first place, and Tasuku told him that he didn't expect him to move beyond friendship and into a serious relationship. Kieta couldn't help but think that Karen might really like Tasuku, while Tasuku, confused by the idea of talking to Aguri after what happened, wondered if something had happened between them and felt angry before telling him that the person she likes is dating Karen and returning to his seat. Kieta thought he was talking about himself and indirectly admitting his infidelity to her, and realized that it would be easy for Tasuku to hang out with Karen while everyone thought she was dating him, and thought about retracting his confession. When he came out of the restroom, he ran into Karen, who was confused at the sight of him, but quickly composed herself and marveled at his pale face, so he felt like running away and apologized to her on his way back to class. On his way, he found Chiaki waiting for him in a classroom, calling for him to come to her. She then had a private conversation with him about what happened yesterday, and admired his courage to confess his love to Karen in front of everyone. Then she added that he had put an end to the demon who was using him, so he asked who she meant by demon. She tried to change the subject and told him that they were enemies, although she didn't want to hurt him more than he deserved. Then she told him that Aguri was no longer his girlfriend even though she was a wonderful person, and he said nonchalantly that she wasn't his girlfriend in the first place, so she thought he had managed to get over it quickly and didn't feel bad. Kieta then goes to the coffee shop with Aguri and notices that she's getting angry and wishing him to die in flames. She rationalizes that she feels bad about finding out that Tasuku is cheating on her, and he tells her that she's being too judgmental. She asks him why anyone would hesitate to look into their lover's eyes other than betrayal, and blames him because her life has taken a turn for the worse since she met him, and Karen and Chiaki have gotten to know him through him. So he tells her not to make it sound like she's jinxed or anything. Then he added that Tasuku was the one who encouraged him to get to know them before he realized that he was using him as a cover for his betrayal. Then he thought about talking to Karen to break up quietly before things got worse, and when he wanted her advice, she scolded him because he didn't mind the brothers making decisions for him, so he decided to do what he wanted. The next day, Karen was very nervous after she received a sudden call from Kieta asking her to meet on the roof of the school. She couldn't hide her fear of meeting him, and when she saw him standing in front of her, she couldn't look at him directly, which made him wonder if she hated him. She responded by asking him if he wanted to stop dating her, which was the reason for his sudden call. She told him that she knew how much he had suffered after his confession and that she didn't mind if he wanted to retract his confession. Then she added that she wasn't lying when she agreed to date him and that she was excited at the time and was surprised to hear him express how happy he was that she didn't hate him and decided to take the opportunity to spill his guts. So she thought he was going to break up with her, but he ended up asking her out on a date. Karen couldn't answer him out of shock and felt as if her mind had stopped working. Kieta told her that he was fully aware of the obstacles they would face in their relationship, especially since he was no match for Tasuku, but he had no intention of giving up until the winner of her heart was declared. Karen blushes, but quickly musters up the courage to agree to go on a date with him and asks him not to overreact about their relationship and let things take their own course, which makes them too formal, which is against Karen's wishes. The next day, the couple decided to go to the Underground 1 mall, as it is a place where most people go to have fun, but they were surprised that it has arcades on the first floor, and Kieta began to show signs of nervousness as he planned how the date would go. Karen grabbed his shirt and told him to do something fun and wander around for a while. They ended up trying all the games on the first floor, and Kieta got beaten at all of them. Afterward, Karen was happy to spend time with him, and when she asked him what they were going to do after they finished play, he looked at the map, and then Karen wanted to go to the pool, and he was confused because he would have to see her in a swimsuit. In the end, they rented a swimsuit, and Kieta stood looking at the pool, very nervous, and when he saw Karen in a swimsuit, he was so shocked that he thanked her when she asked him what he thought of the outfit she had chosen. Then he told her that he liked it so much that he didn't want to make vulgar comments. Then they sat watching their loved ones enjoying their time playing in the water, and Karen suggested that they imitate them. Then she set some rules to play as if it were a game and told him that whoever could get the other person's hair wet first would win the game. As usual, Kieta ends up losing with a minute left in the fight. They decide to go back to the gym again when they see two lovers acting romantically, and on their way they come across Chiaki being harassed by two guys. Chiaki immediately rushes towards him, causing the guys to calmly walk away. When Kieta finds her clinging to him, he tells her that Karen is with him and that they are currently on a date, and she realizes that she has interrupted them with her behavior. Then she apologized and told them that she had to do it. When Karen asked her why she was here, she said that her sister had invited her to this place, but they had parted ways for some reason, so Karen suggested that they help her look for her. Chiaki felt grateful to them, and when she was happy that Kieta would help her look for her sister, Karen felt jealous and decided to look for her sister on her own and asked him to wait for her at the gymnasium. After a while, Karen and Chiaki returned to the gym together, and Kieta was surprised that she was still with them. Chiaki told him that her sister had already gone home, then approached him to ask him how his date with Karen was going, and continued to give him some advice. Then it occurred to her that he should challenge her to a video game and give her a chance to have fun with him. They were surprised to find Karen nearby, and she didn't mind being challenged to a game, and the three of them ended up having a car race against each other. Kieta ended up losing in an ironic way after he tried to use his intelligence to trap them with his car's abilities, but it turned out against him. On their way home, Karen couldn't stop herself from laughing and was surprised that she wasn't angry about his failure to win. She told him that she knew he didn't use the trick at the end of the race to win, and that everyone was having fun regardless of the outcome. Kieta is impressed that she doesn't go easy on him when it comes to games and tells her that he wouldn't have had fun if she had helped him win. She tells him that she's only good at taking games seriously, and quickly feels ashamed when he tells her that's what he likes most about her. The next day, after the Hikaru High School Student Council meeting, President Konoha sits down, feeling relieved and happy that her council members are all beautiful girls and feels like she's in heaven. In the evening, Konoha decides to disguise herself as a man and sneak into the toy store at night to get adult toys, deliberately trying to appear to the community as a kind student council president when she is actually a pervert. After getting her favorite game, she was about to leave when she saw the cover of the dating simulation game and saw that the main character looked a lot like Karen, and remembered that if she had gone to her school, she would have been the president instead, which made her feel frustrated and jealous. While walking around, she saw Kieta and Aichi shopping together and recognized their school uniforms as Karen's classmates, and almost got caught because of her excessive staring. She decided to eavesdrop on their conversation and found that Aichi was asking Kieta to recommend a new toy to him. Kieta was embarrassed and told him that he had never directly recommended a particular toy to anyone before, and Konoha felt that their conversation sounded vague. Kieta wondered if there was anything in the store that would interest Aichi, so he picked up a copy of a new game and told him that he had read some information about it online, and Kieta told him that it was so good that he spent a whole week without enough sleep to finish it. Aichi decides to buy it on his recommendation, while Konoha finds them boring and is about to leave when she hears Kieta tell him that he didn't mean to recommend that game to him, then brings him another game and recommends it to him. Konoha is surprised that he recommended the game she was just checking out and thinks it's an old game that didn't catch on with the masses, although Kieta admitted the same thing. He recommended it because he liked it because it was an obscure game and described it as if he was supporting someone who was struggling in the shadows rather than someone who had everything, a philosophy that intrigued Konoha, and in the end Aichi chose to buy the game Kieta had recommended. After Konoha returned home, she sat thinking about what Kieta had said in the store after he ended up convincing her to buy a copy even though he wasn't talking to her. And after a while her sister Chiaki came home and was surprised to see the game on the table, as she is not used to buying this type of game. She tried to explain that she had borrowed the game from her friend, and when she went to take a look, Konoha rushed over and tried to take the game from her. Going back in time a few days earlier, Chiaki had Kieta and Tasuku take a look on her phone at the game her mother had won in the recent raffle, which was a romantic board game. Tasuku decides to join join them as part of their gamers forum activities, but then thinks it wouldn't be fun if it was just the three of them, and suggests inviting Karen and Aguri. When the idea was well received, he realized that his plan had worked, with everyone getting together and talking about their intertwined relationships and clearing up misunderstanding. But they ended up sitting around the game, each one wary of the other, and the silence was deafening. Then Aguri decided to take the initiative and spun the dial, and Tasuku thought that maybe this game wasn't a good idea to use it to solve their problems. And when it was his turn, he ended up in the marriage slot, allowing him to spin the dial again, and he would have to marry the number where the dial would stop, and he ended up marrying Chiaki with Aguri's flaming gaze on him. Then it was Kieda's turn to play, and he ended up in the adults only slot, making the situation awkward since he was supposed to be Aguri's in-game husband. And after Aguri scolded him, she ended up in the same slot when it was her turn, and Tasuku couldn't help but feel jealous. At the time, Karen had the highest stats among them, yet she seemed more frustrated and discouraged than all of them combined. And when it was Chiaki's turn again, she ended up in a box telling her that her soulmate is someone else and they have some destined relationship together. To Tasuku's surprise, this slot is incredibly fitting for her real situation. Unable to contain himself, Keda ends up in the same slot and then justifies his suspicious behavior by being overly excited that they're together and playing together. Keda told him that he was excited too, even though it was his first time playing with so many people. As they were playing, they were interrupted by Konoha coming to talk to Chiaki for a while, so they had to stop playing until she returned. Then Keda receives a notification on his phone and realizes that it is his favorite game because an important event is approaching. At the same time, Tasuku notices that Chiaki's phone also receives a notification and soon realizes that disaster may strike if Keda discovers that she is playing the same game with him. He tried to hide her phone under the chair while Keda started playing to amuse himself before Chiaki's return. Aguri whispered to Tasuku that she noticed that Keda's relationship with Karen was getting deeper, and they both felt happy about Keda's improved emotional state. Tasuku then decides to ask her directly about her recent closeness to him and how Keda seems to her. Aguri replies that he seems like a younger brother who needs guidance all the time and expresses her happiness for him, even though he's an annoying person. Tasuku is relieved to realize that she has no feelings for him. When he holds her hand, she feels embarrassed and tells him that they shouldn't do that in front of Karen. Tasuku wonders why she's worried about Karen and realizes that he doesn't care about her and doesn't have feelings for her. On the other hand, Keda was busy playing the game while Karen watched, and he felt that there was no way he could get through this stage without Mono's help. When Karen asked him about her, he told her that she was a friend who helped him with the game, and he felt embarrassed to claim her as a real friend in his life. As he talks about his online aliases, Chiaki returns to them and is shocked to see him playing her favorite game and tells Karen that he uses many aliases both when playing with Mono and when talking to game developer Noba. As both people are actually Chiaki with aliases, Keda expresses his admiration for them and that they hold a high place in his heart, while Tasuku feels sorry for Chiaki after she learns the truth and begins to feel her first love after it's too late. Chiaki remembers when she started developing games in the 4th grade and loved the simple communication between her and the players through feedback, and over time she ended up as a free game developer. After that, she started receiving a lot of bad and frustrating feedback that made her feel sad for a while, and whenever she thought about leaving the game development field, she was only stopped by one positive comment from Yama or Kieta because he always continued to encourage her and shared the same taste. After coming back to reality, she regained consciousness after hearing her sister's voice and was surprised that the last thing she remembered was playing a board game with the other. And when she remembered what Kieta had said then, she wanted to ask Konoha indirectly about falling in love with someone after realizing their true nature. Konoha had no idea what Chiaki was talking about, but soon Chiaki suddenly lunged at her and decided to stick to her opinion and continue hating Kieta, so she was curious about the person she was talking about and only mentioned Kieta's nickname. And when Konoha spoke badly about him, she hit her and told her to take it back, and Konoha was surprised and told her that he was a great person, and when she realized that she agreed with her, she fell down in embarrassment. Chiaki then sat in her room alone and hesitated about texting Kieta under their aliases until she had an idea, and rushed over to Konoha's room to see if she needed anything before going to the grocery store. Before she left, Konoha asked her to let her borrow her computer to watch a video. Chiaki wondered what it was, and Konoha told her she wanted to watch the opening movie of the new Blade game, then started to push her towards the door to leave quickly. To Chiaki's amazement, Chiaki walks around the neighborhood until she reaches the grocery store, and while checking the magazines, she is surprised to see Kieta staring at her from outside. She accuses him of being a stalker, but he denies it and tells her that he forgot his transportation card and came to look for her. When Chiaki checked her phone, she was surprised that she forgot to charge it before leaving the house, and Kieta wondered about it, so she told him that she usually gets a lot of offers from boys to go out with them during the summer, so she was busy checking the computer. Kieta immediately realizes she's making excuses and tells her that she has a body that doesn't allow her to do summer activities, which makes her angry and tells her that just like her, he has no plans for the summer. On the way, she asks if he spends the whole summer playing around the house, and he tells her that's what usually happens, but for some reason he feels that this summer will be different now that he has a girlfriend, and tells her that he did something out of character because he wanted to change himself in order to get closer to Karen. Chiaki remained silent the whole way and was surprised when he told her that he had worked up the courage before to talk to her. She told him that she gets goosebumps every time she thinks about it because it's hard to talk to someone of the opposite sex. He Kieta was happy to take the initiative to talk to her, especially because she seemed to be enjoying her favorite game, which made him forget his nervousness and feel like he had a real friend. While he was talking, he was surprised that she stopped walking and explained that she wanted to take a break from walking. When they arrived home for him to look for his card, she quickly went to her room to charge her phone and found that Kieta had sent her several invitations under his nickname to play their favorite game, which made her feel happy. Then she was surprised when he entered the room to tell her that it was raining. She was afraid that he would find out and tried to hide the phone, but she accidentally opened the computer and the screen of her game development site appeared. So she tried not to make him look at the screen and ended up dropping the phone right in front of him and tripping on the road. After that, everything was exposed in front of Kieta and she had no way to escape, so she decided to tell him the truth. But before she could finish her sentence, they were surprised to see Konoha waking up on her bed after taking a nap, and then she told him that game developer Nobai and Mono, his friend in the game, are actually Konoha to remove suspicion from her. Kieta then goes to tell Tasuku what he found out about the identity of his virtual friends and expresses his shock, while Tasuku is surprised that he already knows this is not the truth but decides to play dumb in front of him. He then added that Konoha's reaction was strange to him as she seemed to have no idea about it and remembered that Chiaki wouldn't let him leave, forcing him to wait 10 minutes for her to introduce her sister as the one with the aliases. Kieta expresses his happiness and shock that Nobai and Mono are actually the same person, but still feels that something is wrong and decides to settle for the fact that he has finally met someone who respects him and treats him well. Tasuku was confused and desperately wanted to tell him the truth, but didn't want to interfere with Chiaki's decision to deliberately hide herself and decided to just watch. After they went their separate ways, Kieta remembered what he heard from Tasuku about how he couldn't be happy for him and Karen, which made him realize that he liked, then wondered if there was another girl who liked him, and Tasuku decided to support her to get closer to him, but he felt it was impossible. He ended up going to the toy store to buy a dating simulation game, and when he went to pay for his game, he was surprised to see Konoha in the store and that she had bought the same game. While Konoha felt angry and embarrassed that she didn't disguise herself before coming to the store and that he found out about her, Kieta is puzzled by her strange behavior and wonders if this is the truth about Nobai and Mono all along. She tells him that her virtual persona is fine with him even though she's angry with him as Kono. Kieta realizes that she has multiple personality disorder, which gives her a chance to explain her current situation and avoid being labeled a pervert. And on their way home, she tells him to keep her purchase of adult games a secret. He told her that his virtual friends just happened to be her sister, and when she asked him about Nabi and Mono, he expressed his admiration for Nabi's games, which made her feel angry that she couldn't tell him the truth. Then she decides to vent her anger and throws a loud punch at him for no reason. As they walk, they run into Chiaki, who is surprised to see him, while Konoha tells him that they had agreed to meet here beforehand. Kieta realizes that this is why she went to buy the adult game alone, and when he almost blurts it out, Konoha crushes his foot. Chiaki then asks them if they have always been this close to each other, and Konoha pretends that they were talking about her games that she is developing as a Kanobot, which makes Chiaki feel angry. Then she receives a phone call and Kieta wants to take the opportunity to leave, but is surprised to hear Chiaki talking to Tasuku, and when he asks her what they talked about, she says that he seriously told her about his decision to confess his feelings to her before he quickly hangs up the phone. Kieta goes to meet Aguri at a restaurant and tells her that he wants her to join their gamers club. She tells him that she doesn't like games and can't play at all, so he tells her that loving someone who already likes games is enough reason for her to join. She thought it would be fun to be in the same place as Tasuku, but she didn't want to be that annoying. He whispered that he had invited Karen as well, which made her feel uncomfortable, but it made sense as a gamer. In the end, she decided to join in exchange for Kieta giving her his plate of cookies while Kieta was feeling bad about her boyfriend's betrayal. Afterward, he goes to meet Chiaki and congratulates her on Tasuku admitting his feelings for her as the man she likes, and she feels that she might be happy about it, while Konoha tells her that she would reject him without hesitation if she were in her position as he already has a girlfriend. When she called him a troublemaker, Kieta felt she was right and was thinking about what to say to Aguri if they started dating when Konoha suggested that Chiaki call him and reject him on the spot. Confused because she has no excuse for rejection, Kieta decides to enlist the help of Karen, a professional rejection specialist, and calls her and tells her that he wants to know how to reject someone else. Karen wondered if this was something he wanted to know for his own use, which was reason enough for her to decide not to tell him despite his pleas and tell him to find out for himself. Kieta felt like something was wrong with her, like she had just been punched. She tells him that she's in the middle of something similar right now and Kieta decides to help her. Karen is surprised by his reaction and apologizes for causing him trouble and tells him that she's fine, then surprises him by confessing her love for him out of the blue before hanging up and leaving him in a daze. He then gathered his thoughts and asked Konoha if she knew how to reject someone who confessed his feelings for her. She was confused and replied that she usually says she's not interested in something like that right now and deliberately doesn't mention her position as student council president. Kieta thought there was only one solution, and that was to bring everyone to the players' meeting to work out their issues. The next day after class, the 5 of them gathered in the classroom and Kieta told them that he had gathered them to discuss something important. He then felt awkward telling them what he wanted to discuss and tried to gather his courage, but ended up telling them that he was going to buy the Space Ocean game tomorrow, which made Chiaki and Aguri feel frustrated, so he told them he couldn't talk about it right now. Then he added that the Space Ocean series is his favorite game series series of all time and that the new installment will be released tomorrow. Chiaki said she plans to buy it too, and when she asked him if he had pre-ordered it, he told them that things had happened recently that made him forget about it, but he plans to run at full speed tomorrow to buy it as soon as it comes out, which made Chiaki and Aguri feel frustrated. Karen wondered if the game was worth being so obsessed with, and he replied that it was the first game that had made such an impression on him that he felt like he was born to play it and vowed to do his best tomorrow to get an original copy before it was sold out. In the evening, Chiaki sat in her messy room absent-mindedly until Konoha joined her and told her that she had been looking for an old game and had found the second part of Space Ocean. Konoha was curious about how it went at the players' meeting, and Chiaki told her that Kieta didn't talk about it in the first place because he was too scared. So Konoha thought that part of what's happening now is because of her, and that she had already brought her into it. Chiaki felt embarrassed that she was right, and when she asked Konoha why she had come to her room, she told her that she wanted to know how she was feeling right now, and if she could make a decision about getting closer or further away from Kieta. Chiaki was confused and had no choice but to remain silent, so Konoha told her before leaving that she didn't mean to push her to make a decision, leaving her lost in thought. The next day, Kieta got ready to go and buy his favorite toy. After his departure, Tasuku decides to leave quickly to meet Chiaki as he decides to take care of her while Kieta is dating Karen. When he goes to her class, he asks her to have a private conversation, which makes Chiaki nervous, and she tells him that she is still thinking about his offer. Tasuku realizes that she isn't sure about her feelings for Kieta and isn't ready to hurt Karen by taking him away, so he apologizes and tells her that he didn't mean to rush her, and as they talk, Karen joins them. Meanwhile, Aguri fell into the trap of a classmate named Sareen, who continued to tease her and her friends after inviting her to the cafeteria next to the school and making fun of her middle school looks. Aguri realized that she was deliberately brought here to hang out with one of the boys and whispered that she already had a boyfriend, but Sarina didn't care, and then one of them asked her if she would participate in the Gamers Club and started making fun of its members, calling them dirty pig-like creatures. Aguri was furious when they continued to make fun of her friends and decided to leave immediately. Sarina followed her and asked her if her boyfriend was a member of that forum. Aguri denied it and asked her why she felt angry at their sarcasm. She tells her that they may be right about the forum members being pathetic nerds, but it's not what it looks like to them, and then decides to leave quickly, which makes Sarina furious, and she thinks about calling Tasuku, who is so busy talking to Chiaki and Karen that he doesn't listen to the ringtone on his phone. When he asked Karen what she wanted to talk about, she hesitantly told them that she has been acting strangely lately, especially since dating Kiet, and that she feels like the world has gotten better and wants to be with him all the time, so she feels bad that he is still living his life as usual. Tasuku tells her that if they try to take the toys away from him, it's like killing him, and Chiaki tells her that Kieta can be stubborn despite his weakness and prioritize his toys instead of finding happiness in his real life. Karen felt that she was right about Kieta being like that all the time, while Tasuku realized that she liked him a lot. Then he pulled the two girls towards him and told them to stop talking about relationship, when they were surprised to see Aguri across the street, and she started crying after seeing his betrayal with her own eyes. The three of them end up running after her, trying to explain it to her, but she keeps running while trying to call Kieta to help her. After some time, Aguri realizes that she was too quick to judge them based on what she saw, and they managed to explain it to her. Then she remembered that she had to call Kieta again before he got here. Chiaki told her that he wouldn't care as he had gone to buy his favorite toy, but they were surprised to find that he had come as fast as he could to help Aguri. Kieta felt confused before telling him that it was just a misunderstanding. Kieta felt frustrated and thought that he shouldn't have worried as he thought that she had broken up with Tasuku and was going through a period of depression, while Karen wondered why he came since he was supposed to go buy a toy. He told her that it could wait and that he wouldn't leave his friend in trouble for a toy, which made Aguri feel grateful towards him but expressed it wrongly due to her confusion. Tasuku finds that Karen is going through a period of depression and thinks he should just mind his own business, but ends up walking with her after she notices his presence and also notices that he seems worried about something. She adds that Kieta seems happy these days, and he tells her that he also feels that Aguri has become more mature lately. She wonders if this is because Kieta and Aguri influence each other, and he replies that he has a way of influencing others for better or worse. Then they both agreed that Aguri was progressing towards adulthood under Kieta's inspiration while he was maturing as a human being under her influence, and they felt the fact that they were the perfect couple frustrated, but at the same time Karen thought that neither of them would accept betraying their lover. Tasuku gathers his courage and tells her that they can change the situation somehow. Karen gets excited and wants to know more, but doesn't realize that she has already arrived at her house. After insisting, he tells her that the only solution is to make things non-negotiable, leaving Karen in a state of collapse because it seems impossible. And meanwhile, Konoha is watching them closely. In the evening, Kieta was surprised when Karen suggested they go on a double date with Tasuku and Aguri. Feeling that it was a bit tacky and would embarrass him, she told him that it could help their relationship develop further because it was a different kind of date than the usual one. Kieta felt the urge to fulfill her request as a man despite his opposition to the idea, and ended up agreeing to go on a double date with her, which made her happy, and she gave him several instructions for their date, including the time and place. 2 days later, the four of them reunited, with Kieta and Karen enjoying their time inside Spiel's amusement park, which looks like a city in a video game, while Tasuku and Aguri marveled at their excessive enthusiasm and felt like idiots. Kieta and Karen continued to check everything everything around them inside the park, and Aguri felt like leaving and going home. As time passed, Tasuku and Karen made sure that everything was going according to plan, while Kieta and Aguri had no idea what was going on around them. Then Kieta noticed that Karen seemed to be overly excited, and they soon realized to their frustration that maybe the reason behind their enthusiasm was that they were trying to hide the truth about their betrayal. When they arrived at a game, Karen and Tasuku decided to carry out their plan, but they were soon surprised when they saw Chiaki and Konoha by chance. It turns out that Konoha had planned to go yesterday after she got 2 free tickets to the amusement park. Chiaki initially refused to go because she was busy making plans, so Konoha told her to think of it as going on a date with Kieta, frustrated that he already has a girlfriend and there's no point in imagining it as if it will happen. Her sister advises her to be more open about her feelings for him before she disappeared, and she ends up agreeing to go with her, while Konoha decides not to stay behind while Tasuku and Karen make plans. Konoha tries to evade the answer and asks why Chiaki isn't joining them on the trip, to which Karen confusingly replies that it's just a double date between them, not a trip as part of the players' gathering. Konoha is furious that she won't have a reason to scold her, so Kieta suggests that they join them for the rest of the day, and they all continue to try various games together and wander around the park, ruining Tasuku and Karen's plan. After a while, they decided to go to the House of Horrors experience. As they wandered around, they were startled by several traps they stumbled upon along the way until they reached a certain dark spot where they realized that each of them had to keep moving forward with their partner in order to bond with. Tasuku tried to hold Aguri's hand, but he was reluctant, so they headed inside together, and Karen ended up standing alone after Kieta disappeared with Konoha and Chai, while Konoha deliberately took them out to a clearing so that her sister could have some time with Kieta. Then they realized that something was wrong with Chiaki, so she told them that she was just feeling a little dizzy and suddenly fell into Kieta's arms unconscious. After a while, she regained consciousness and was surprised that Kieta was still with them, and then Konoha told her that he was the one who carried her out of the park. Kieta noticed that her face was pale, but she tried to pretend that she was fine. Then Konoha decided to leave them alone for a while. Then there was silence between them after her departure until Kieta received a message from Karen and wanted to move away for a while so that he could respond to it. He decides to sit down and wait for Karen to call him back, and then it occurs to him to ask Chiaki why she came here, and she tells him that it was her sister who forced her to come. She was curious to know his honest opinion about her virtual characters, and he told her that they were very important to him and that he still couldn't understand that they were actually from Konoha, so she wondered if they were more important to him than Karen. He told her that Karen is important to him too, and he considers himself lucky to have had the chance to be in a relationship with her, and that he considers everyone important. He then added that he was lonely and had only recently made friends, and it all started when Karen greeted him that day. While they were talking, he noticed that Konoha was eavesdropping on them, and when he caught her, she headed towards them. Kieta decided to go back to the others while Chiaki decided to go home so that he could enjoy his time with Karen. He grabs her and pulls her behind him and tells her to come watch the parade with them. On the other side, Karen is trying to call him when she sees them heading towards her. When they get together, they decide to go watch the parade, and Tasuku dares to hold Aguri's hand. Kieta, on the other hand, reaches out to Karen and they go to the front of the line. As they try to approach the parade, Kieta stumbles, making him look awkward in front of her. Aichi's story is about how he lost his memory 3 years ago and found himself sitting in front of a puzzle machine, completely naked. So he took a coat he found nearby and wandered the streets aimlessly until he came across a girl being harassed by 2 young men. He didn't hesitate to help her and managed to take them down effortlessly. As a result, he ended up being adopted by the girl's family to become her brother, and since then he has been living as Aichi. And although he was living a luxurious life, it was not peaceful because of the gang that was targeting his sister, and he was remembering glimpses of his past and suspected that the gang had something to do with him. Soon he ended up joining his school's gaming club and participated in the comprehensive video game league competition and advanced to the final. And when he thought he would have no difficulty in winning the tournament, he was surprised that his sister was his opponent in the semifinal match and decided not to go easy on her and beat her in order to qualify for the final. In the meantime, Kieta and his buddies decided to go on a trip as part of their players forum activities, and Karen told them that they had to abide by the rules of the camp as it was a training camp for their development, and some of them were bored that they would have to play all the way through the trip. When Karen asks Kieta about his recent purchase of an obscure game, he tells her that he was looking for something cool, but ended up buying Adult Hunter by accident. Tasuku tells him that it's a game that's famous for being one of the worst games ever, and that he regrets spending so much money on it. Aguri is surprised as she already thinks that all toys are expensive, which makes the 3 of them feel angry that she is right. And when Tasuku tells her that there are clothes that are more expensive than toys, she says without hesitation that clothes are basic and necessary things, unlike toys. The 3 nerds were outraged, and Karen told her it was foolish to talk about whether or not toys were useful, comparing it to going to the movies on a date, bowling, or hanging out with Kieta like she had been doing lately. Aguri said that aside from hanging out with Kieta, going to the movies and bowling are fun. Karen got angry and told her that games are fun too. Kieta tried to intervene and calm the situation and told Aguri that games are considered a leisure activity, so it's not about whether they are useful or not. The argument between Aguri and them continued to argue about what was best between games and other activities, and when she described games as a way to waste their lives, they got angry while Chiaki calmly told her that modern teenagers like them who live a miserable life don't consider games to be a waste of time. Aguri thought that she always sees players unhappy while playing games and wondered if progressing in games is annoying since Kieta had already told her that he passed out while playing, leaving them in shock and unable to respond. She then wondered what fun it is to stay awake in order to collect a huge amount of experience points and that it is boring in itself, and ended up with the three of them about to pounce on her. Afterward, they arrived at the hostel Karen had chosen for them, and Aguri and Tasuku marveled that they had traveled all this way to play. In the evening, she sat down to check her phone and saw that there were games that cost more than 10,000 yen. Karen and Chiaki were embarrassed and told her that they weren't interested in that kind of in-game content, while Kieta and Tasuku couldn't deny it. She asked if the money should be spent on buying real clothes for them instead of virtual character clothes. Kieta replied that it's like buying clothes for themselves, as the characters are just a reflection of the players, but she wasn't convinced by his point of view. Kieta decided to convince her with an interesting question and asked her what she would do if Tasuku bought her a ring. She blushed and told him that she would be happy. He told her that she would want to wear it all the time and that her love for Tasuku would increase because of the ring. The same thing that happens between players and virtual characters when purchasing downloadable game content. Kieta manages to convince Aguri of the idea by using her relationship with Tasuku as an example, while Tasuku is furious that he's using their relationship to discuss it and tells him that Aguri doesn't need to buy special outfits since she's beautiful anyway. Tasuku tells her that it's not that hard and his feelings for her are serious, and they think Aguri has been convinced that the games are fun, but she knocks them down when she tells them that she realizes how frivolous the games are. Afterwards, they all sat down to play a card game and couldn't argue with her about her criticism that pay-to-win games force players to spend a lot of money and don't get to enjoy all the game's features in the end. So Kieta tried to convince her that it's like her favorite manga getting a side series after the story ends. When Aguri went to relax in the hot springs, Karen told her that there is nothing better than increasing the difficulty level of games. Aguri wondered why she liked the game to be more difficult, so she told her that she feels better when she succeeds in finishing a game on a difficult level and feels that she has surpassed herself. But Aguri could not understand the point because of her lack of experience in games. She told her that the players in the club would understand her point of view. Aguri accused them of being a bunch of masochists who gather to stare at an unfair game, and when Karen fell silent in embarrassment, Aguri realized that all the players are perverted masochists. Chiaki is furious and tells her that's not true, then expresses her happiness when the story ends with a certain plot twist where the protagonist turns into an animal, and they start arguing about it, with Aguri thinking it's pretty disgusting. When Chiaki starts imagining horrible stories about monsters fighting each other, Aguri starts to feel disgusted, and as they talk, she is surprised to see Karen near the wall, and Karen quickly becomes confused and tries to justify it by saying that she is not trying to eavesdrop on Kieta. Kieta and Tasuku are surprised when Karen joins them, but she ends up being dragged by him and Chiaki to sleep next to the girls, and when Aguri wants to take the opportunity to sleep next to Tasuku, they all end up enjoying their time playing games instead of sleeping. Aguri came to understand how the DLC system works in games and likened it to ordering dessert after finishing a meal, but she still felt that games were too expensive and companies were cheating players out of their money. Kieta told her that games are a form of entertainment that drives one to splurge, and he remembered that he had a game that his father had bought for him when he was young, and although it was a bad game, it was more expensive than the original game, so he couldn't tell him that he had made a mistake in choosing the game. He then went on to say that he found the game enjoyable after he tried it and played it for 3 years while criticizing it at the same time, and although it is a bad memory for him as a gamer, he believes that games are a flexible medium that gives one the freedom to invest their emotions as they wish, and that the only thing a gamer can do is enjoy games in their own way, even if they are bad. Aguri realized how important games were to them, and then Kieta suggested that they all play the infamous Adult Hunt and enjoy it in their own way. Afterward, everyone went to bed, but Kieta felt so bad after the game and wanted his money back so badly that he became insomniac and couldn't sleep as well as they did.